Right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, True Crime Files, and I'm your host, Kathy. How's everyone's weekend going so far? Right? Right. I thought because managed to get some more bits and pieces on Brian Hooker and the disappearance of Lynette Hooker, do another episode, and then hopefully, if it lands up all charges going ahead of him, I can do a third one. But you've all probably heard by now that Lynette went missing on a sailing trip, but there is discrepancies, and I want to try and point them out to you. I think now it's more likely going to be a rescue operation with Lynette because she went missing a week ago now, and she was at sea, and there's no way you can survive in the sea for that length of time. So the things that you need to know about Brian Hooker, back in 2005, he was accused of choking a child, but acquitted on child abuse charges. I've got that information to hand if I can bring it up. Brian is currently in connection with the disappearance of his wife, Lynette, although he's not been charged with a crime. And I heard today that it's been his detention for questioning is now been extended to, I think it was a total of 96 hours. So I think it's going to be Monday before we hear anything. But it makes you wonder what the police have on him. And their last item was in a restaurant before they set sail on that little stupid dinghy thing. So it'd be interesting to see, if there's any people that were in there that's given the police an interview from the restaurant, like if they were arguing, if they've been drinking loads, and all sorts of things like that. So more than 20 years before his wife went missing overboard in the Bahamas, Brian Hooker was accused of choking a child, but ultimately acquitted. Hooker is currently in custody in the Bahamas after his wife reportedly fell overboard while on a dinghy with her husband, and he's not being charged with a crime at the moment. According to court records obtained by People, Hooker was previously acquitted on child abuse charges by a Michigan jury. The charges stem from 2005, an incident which he was accused of choking a girl in his home. During the alleged incident, police said Hooker's children had been visiting him, and the dispute arose over the children being taught creatism while being homeschooled, according to police report. In the forensic report obtained by People, a police officer wrote a child had observed light linear red marks on the right side of her neck that could have been made in the manner as described. Hooker's present attorney, Terrell Butler, did not immediately respond to request for comment on Friday the 10th regarding the 2005 case. Previously, Butler had told the People, however, that allegations of abuse or tumultuous relationship does not explain what happened on the day and indicate whether or not Brian was somehow culpable for anything that may have happened to her. Butler said in a statement following Hooker's arrest that her client is categorically and equivocally denies any wrongdoing. Before he was arrested, he posted on Facebook about the unpredictable seas and high winds from their boats. So that was that one I was going to bring to you. But this was, where am I? This was a video that I found on the day that she went missing. I did quickly check it that there was no, no music. That's the word I was thinking. No music that YouTube can stop my video from being shared. So this is on the day they were going sailing. Yeah, before their sailing trip. So I'm trying to talk and I'm trying to look at all my different tabs I've got open, trying to work out which one's which. So this is grocery day shopping.
Laundry time.
No, grocery time.
Oh, yep.
Pick up the
Grocery time.
groceries.
This is how we do laundry too.
So as you can see, they seem fine, don't they?
Success.
All right, we got the grub.
Got groceries.
Delivery. It's a way of life, man.
Right. I just want to go back
Got groceries.
to that bit where
Success. Success.
where the key is. Is that the key? Because that's not the key, is it? No. Because it says in the reports that, but just as she fell overboard, she had hold of the key to that dinghy, which stopped the dinghy from the power thing. So I can see an orange thing there on top. It's not a very good picture image of it. And you can see strings attached to it, and then it's clipped to his shorts there. So his stepdaughter was saying that generally it's always Brian that drives the boat. And she said the key is on a piece of string. So this is that piece of string that she's on about, and it's clipped to the body. So if Lynette was driving the boat, I don't know how you say it. I would say steering rather than driving. But I should imagine once you pull that tab out, I guess the boat stops. But on there, you can see it's definitely clipped to his shorts there. So, you know, that must be a safekeeping thing. If I go back a little bit.
Success.
All right, we got the grub.
Got groceries.
Delivery.
And you can also see they're not got any life jackets or any buoyancy aids in that boat.
It's a way of life, man.
So I thought I'd share that with you because I thought that was quite interesting. And then that was 4 years ago. I could share that one to you before we go to on the case. Share screen. This is to the Milwaukee trip. I just got to make sure there's no music to it, which I think there might be. Is there?
How are the boys? Are they still sleeping?
A minute, just check you can see that too. Right. Oh gosh, got rid of it.
Okay. Although everybody on 68 can still hear us.
I got to stop that because of the YouTube music. Get me. No. So what I do, I just play this one. Is there music on that bit?
Heading up our electric theme.
Yeah, there's music on it, so don't play it. So you can see, you know, they absolutely loved being out on the sailboat. You know, that's their dream. We're both retired. So, you know, it is literally living the dream life, isn't it? Being on the boat, go wherever you want, do whatever you want, don't have to answer to anybody. So if I stop that one, and then there was something else I want to share with you guys. Got to think where I need to go. There we go. Right, so just get some files up for you before I go into the things. So, his organisation, first sailing trip. So that last video I showed you was their first sailing ship. What ship is it? Has this got music? Yeah. A minute. Right, so I've got this video to show you. I've got to have the sound off because there's music playing, which is a bit of a nuisance. Where's my StreamYard here? Share screen. Let's make it full page. Like I said, guys, there's no music to this because YouTube would just take it down. So, you know, it just paints a really good story of a couple that are enjoying their life on the boat and doing all sorts of things. I hope really for the family's sake that it was just a tragic accident and that Brian has no involvement in it. But his stories don't add up because he was saying they were setting off from the restaurant when it was dusk, and in another report he says it was dark. You know, there's no moonlight, completely dark. Right, so that makes you dizzy, doesn't it? So that's their boat all sort of like painted, or getting painted, I should say. So there's Lynette, I think it is, just starting to do some painting. So, you know, they spent a lot of time on this vessel, didn't they, doing it all up. You can see where they need to paint. I'll just bring it on a bit so you can see a bit more of it. So there's Brian doing some painting. One way to get a great tan, isn't it? Just bring it on a bit more. It obviously takes a lot of what I call blood, sweat, and tears doing everything, but it's the satisfaction. You know, you got something that needs attention, you do it up to your satisfaction, and it gives you satisfaction knowing that all your hard work is paid off. Just do a bit more of this video for you. Like I said, there is no sound because YouTube take it down otherwise. So they've done a really, really good job. The boat looks lovely. This is him and his mate going snorkeling. One way to cool down after being on the boat all day working. They obviously like their alcohol, but who doesn't? That's the one screen I want to show you. And then which one's this one? So this video here, let me check this out. Yep, there's music to that one, so I can't play the music to this one. This was posted 3 years ago at their first attempt of crossing the Gulf of Mexico. So I'll just share this video with you. StreamYard. So this is the Gulf crossing. I'd love to see dolphins like that. Just trying to sort of like give everybody a bit more insight of what the hookers' lives were like. Must be nice sailing, and then you got the dolphins right next to your boat. A minute, let me check the sound.
It's only been 4 months.
Yeah, only half the time we spent at Rockport.
No, got stop it because of the music. So obviously they're just getting ready to set off. No, it's still got music. And they're off. Looks a bit foggy out there. Could be rough water. They still got music. Yep, they still got music. I was just about to get forward it a bit, and then they've got music still. Yep, still got music. Right, so they got music on this bit.
First night, sun just went down. Winds are about 15. I get a 6.2 knots right now. It's 42 feet deep. 6 o'clock at night. No, 6:45 at night. Yeah. Day 2 of crossing the Gulf of Mexico.
We are crossing the Gulf of Mexico.
And Brian found the speaker. Do the foghorn.
I will do the foghorn.
Pretty cool. Not much to see here. Very foggy. It's pretty calm all night. We had to motor most of it, but we do have all of our sails are up. And we're just waiting on the wind. Have a good day.
So just go a bit further along, a bit more.
Has been beating us up. We have 3 sails up. It's possible one may not come down. We'll try that later today. We're ready to sit down and eat some breakfast.
Bit rough, isn't it?
Day 3, 45 knot winds. Oh, it's been an eventful day.
So that was them. Let's stop it there a minute. So you can see they absolutely loved their life, didn't they? Then when was the other one? Lynette things snorkeling. Let's just show this one for you. Just trying to build, a bit of background knowledge for you guys. This was on their TikTok. That's them snorkeling. Can't enlarge the screen on this one. So, they're having a wonderful time. and then tragedy strikes. The documents I want to show you. Come back to my StreamYard a minute. Image files. Did I put it in pictures or documents? Right. Files. All files. So I think this was the child abuse one. Oh, invalid file type. Okay, then. We'll do it from this way then. Let me scroll down to the other documents. So let's see if I can share it from this one then. StreamYard. Share screen. Right. So hopefully you can see this. So this was a report of actual or suspected child abuse or neglect. So mother's name, Lynette Hooker. Name of alleged perpetrator of abuse or neglect, Brian Hooker. Stepdad. So this was to Callie, wasn't it? I believe. But they haven't filled in a big deal of stuff on that one. Let me scroll it up. So the 12th of May 05. During the course of investigation, I later learned there were 2 additional witnesses that never interviewed. Contact with Elizabeth Joseph. I was contacted by Elizabeth, who explained to me that she was the mother of. Elizabeth told me that Brian Hooker was, I don't know why they redacted that, because we all know it's probably stepfather. And that night, redacted, assaulted her by her father, was over her father's for an evening visitation. Elizabeth said that when she picked up redacted on the 11th of August 05, redacted told her about Brian assaulting redacted. Elizabeth told me that I could interview redacted her school for more information. Interview with, and it's all redacted. This isn't redacted by me, guys. So on the 12th of January, I interviewed redacted at her school. I explained my job and spent some time building a rapport. Told me that she was redacted and that she was currently in the redacted. Told me she lives with her mother and that she usually sees her dad every other weekend during the week for an evening visitation. I explained to redacted the importance of only talking to me about things that were true and that really happened. Redacted agreed to talk to me only about things that were true and really happened. I gave redacted permission to correct me if I made a mistake and not to guess. I asked redacted if she knew why I was at the school talking to her, and she said yes. Redacted had told me that her mum told her I would be coming into the school to talk to her about what her dad had done to redacted. I asked redacted what her dad had done, and she said choked redacted. I asked redacted when this happened, and she told me the last time I was over at my dad's. Redacted told me that it was her dad's birthday. Redacted told me that her stepmother Lynette was looking at redacted science book. Redacted said the book had talked about what God made and that Lynette did not like what the book was saying. Redacted said that Lynette called her dad, Brian, over to look at the book. Redacted said her dad was upset about what the book said because he didn't want Redacted to believe in God. Redacted said that there was upset and tried to run to her room. Redacted told me that her dad was trying to control his words but couldn't and was yelling. Redacted said She and stepsister got scared, so they ran into the music room. Redacted said when Redacted ran off, her dad had chased after her. Redacted said she told Redacted they better go upstairs, and both of them started up the stairs. Redacted said she was too afraid to look and kept going upstairs. However, Redacted stayed to watch. Redacted said when Redacted came up, it's hard saying Redacted all the time, isn't it? To the room, she told her that she saw her dad hold Redacted up in the air by her neck. Redacted states her mum came immediately after to pick her up and she left. Redacted said once she got in the car with her mum, she told her what happened, and her mum called Redacted mum, and Redacted said that no one was home, so her mum left a message on the answering machine explaining what happened and to call her. Redacted told me she was afraid that if she made her dad mad, that someday he might do the same thing to her. How scared must the children have been? You know, if you've got an adult, if you're, say, 5, 6 years old or however young, and you got an adult sort of like trying to put their hands around your throat, you're going to be shit scared, aren't you? I asked Redacted if there was anything else she thought I should know. Redacted stated no. I thanked Redacted for talking to me and concluded my interview. Contact with Rick Ellsworth. I received a telephone call from Rick Ellsworth. Rick explained to me that Redacted is his daughter and the stepdaughter of Brian Hooker. Rick said that Redacted lives with her mum, Lynette, and stepfather, Brian, every other week. Rick told me that Redacted was over at her mum's when this incident took place and that she witnessed it. Rick said the incident took place on the 11th of August 05 and that on the 11th of the 11th 05 he picked up Redacted for his visitation. Rick said that when he first learned about the incident, Rick agreed to bring Redacted to Kentwood Police Department for an interview. So, interview with Redacted Ellsworth on the 11th, on 30th of the 11th. I might have just got all the dates wrong because I forgot. In other places, you don't do it like the UK do you? So on the 30th of November 05, Rick brought Redacted to the Kentwood Police Department for an interview. At Redacted's request, her dad stayed with her during the interview. Redacted told me she was redacted. I explained to Redacted my job and spent time building a rapport. I've explained the importance of telling the truth, and she agreed to only talk to me of the things that were true and what really happened. I gave Redacted permission to correct me if I made a mistake, to say I don't know, if she does not know the answer to something. I asked Redacted if she knew her. I should have looked how long this page was, should I? Because I don't like reading all documents. I'm not a document queen, guys. Right, so I asked Redacted if she knew why her dad brought her to the police department to talk to me. Redacted said because the last time I was at my mum's and he choked Redacted. I asked Redacted who Redacted was, and she said her stepsister. I asked Redacted who was choking Redacted, and she said Brian, my stepdad. I asked Redacted if she knew why her stepdad choked Redacted, and she said because he was really mad. I asked Redacted if she knew why he was really mad, and she said because they made a mistake on their homework. I asked Redacted who made the mistake on their homework, and she said Redacted and Redacted, and Redacted identified Redacted as a stepbrother. Breather. I asked Redacted to tell me what happened from the beginning. Oh gosh, here we go. Redacted told me that she was in the music room playing with her stepsister. Redacted said Brian Redacted and Redacted were in the kitchen. Redacted said she could hear yelling and at one point heard Redacted call Brian a bastard. Redacted said that Redacted started to walk away and indicated she was going to her room. Redacted states that Redacted started running to go upstairs and that Brian began to chase after her. Redacted said she saw Brian catch up to Redacted and pin her against the front door. Redacted showed me how Brian put both hands around Redacted's neck and said Redacted said that Brian had Redacted's feet off the ground by approximately half a foot. She indicated this by showing me with her hands how far off the ground Redacted's feet were. Redacted said Brian said to Redacted, say, yes, sir, young lady, 2 times. Redacted said that. Redacted said, yes, sir. Redacted said that Brian let go of Redacted and told her that he wanted her to go and sit down. Redactive said that Redactive was crying. Redactive said both she and Redacted were extremely scared and that she suggested to Redacted that they go upstairs to their rooms. Redacted said that both she and Redacted were crying. Redacted told me I was crying because I was really sad. Redacted got picked up off the ground. Redacted added, I was scared a little too. Redacted said that she did not see or hear anything else because she went up to her room with Redacted. I asked Redacted if there is anything else that I thought I should know, and she stated no. I thanked Redacted for talking to me and concluded my interview. Copy of this report was sent via fax to the prosecutor's office, submitted by whoever that is, Detective Michelle Clark. So that is that one. And then this is the Kentwood Police thing that's got loads of redacted things out on it. District court cases. So Brian Hooker, birth year 1967, same year as I was born in, guys. So now you all know how old I am. Count 1, child abuse, 4th degree, adjudication date, 2nd of the 2nd, 2006, not guilty, jury trial. So here you got all the different dates. I'm not going to read every single one out, guys, because I'm going to be dreaming about this tonight, I reckon. So outstanding warrant, action held, arraignment for schedule, fingerprint ordered, action held, pre-trial, notice of jury trial, action held, case was adjourned, pre-trial, notice of jury trial, action held, case was adjourned, notice of jury trial, case was adjourned, cases on hold status, and all those sort of things from there that you can see. So I did quite well with my dyslexia, didn't I, guys, reading that all out? I had my tongue in my mouth properly. Right, let me check back here. So whereabouts was I going to go from here? Was that the domestic assault? Yeah, so this one is the domestic assault charge. Let me share this screen with you. Hopefully not too much reading, please. We need Grizzly from True Crime for these documents, don't we, guys? Right, incident type, domestic assault, incident number, date, time and venue occurred on the 2nd of the 1st, 2015 at 1:05 hours in the city of Kentwood. Summary. Brian Hooker stated he was assaulted by his wife, Lynette Hooker. He said he was struck in the face multiple times and he had injuries but refused medical. Dispatch said dispatched to intoxicated female locked upstairs in the bedroom. Female stated she was assaulted by someone in the home. On arrival, OFC Vanderben and I arrived on the scene, made contact with Brian Hooker on the main floor of the home. He was intoxicated and had blood coming from his nose. Contact with the victim, Brian Hooker. He stated he got struck in the face several times by his wife. He stated she was drunk and thought Jacob Hooker and a redacted were locked in a room upstairs fooling around. He stated Lynette attempted to open the door. Brian Hooker stated he went upstairs to calm her down, and Lynette Hooker struck him in the face 4 or 5 times. He stated he had never been hit like that in a long time. What a shame, eh? He started to cry and become very emotional. Oh, let's get the tissues out. Contact with witness Ubedin. She stated she heard Lynette upstairs causing commotion. She stated Brian went upstairs and returned several minutes later. He was bleeding from the nose. Contact with suspect Lynette Hooker. She was upstairs talking with dispatch. She was highly intoxicated. Don't the drink do evil things to you? It really is a demon. Where's my gin? Only kidding, guys. I brought her downstairs and asked her what occurred. She stated she was struck in the forehead by her husband, Brian. She stated her kids had locked themselves in a room upstairs. She was attempting to get in when she was assaulted by Brian. She stated he choked her and punched her once. Injuries. Brian Hooker had a bloody nose that was red and swollen. He refused medical. Lynette Hooker had no visible injuries. I did not observe any marks or scratches on her. She also refused medical. Attempt contact with Jacob Hooker and redacted. I was advised that both had left the home together due to the incident. I attempted contact with both via telephone. No answer. No one stated they were involved in the assault, but they may have witnessed it. So, narrative. Nature of incident, domestic assault. The complaint was reviewed by APA Birch and the warrant was denied. Per the APA, there was insufficient evidence as to who started the assault. I spoke with Brian Hooker and Lynette attorneys Mark Hunton, and all were advised that a warrant was denied. I also advised the Jody Simpson at 62B District Court of this. Case closed. So we have some of that proof. Let me go back to my screen. What else was there? So this is the coordinates of their travels. And then I will get on and play a video so that you don't have to listen to my voice. Coordinates. So I gather all this in pinky purple is where they sail to. So as you can see, it's quite a distance they travelled. And I presume the round circles is where they may have stopped. So yeah, so that's their shipping log. Just check there's nothing else I want to share with you. The police report. See if I can share that one. So the RBPF news release. Police provide update on missing woman at sea. Police wish to inform the public that the investigation into disappearance of a woman at sea remains ongoing. The woman reported missing while travelling by boat to Ebel Cay on Saturday, the 4th of April, 26. Since the incident, extensive search and rescue operations have carried out by Royal Bahamas Police Force, Royal Bahamas Defence Force, local fire and rescue teams, and the Bahamas Air, Sea and Rescue Association and the United States Coast Guard. These efforts have spanned marine, land and aerial areas with additional support from drone technology and professional divers. The search operations and investigative efforts remains active. Police are appealing to members of the public who may have information that may assist with this investigation. If you have any relevant details, please contact 911 919 or your nearest police station, or anonymous tips are also welcome through Crime Stoppers. And that was dated on Tuesday last week. Do I need to do that one? No, right. So that's the documents that I wanted to go through, guys. This was the paddleboarding video. Let me just get it up a bit. I need to scroll down a bit to share it. And then after this, I'll do law and crime. Where's the paddle boat? Where is it? There it is. Right. I'll just see if it's got any sound. How many? No, there's no sound to this, guys. Oh, it's up there.
Some are missing. Some are missing. They're still in recovery around here from Hurricane Darian. Some places are brand new. Some are missing. Some are missing roofs. There's a boat sunk.
Looks like they've gone snorkeling. Oh no, she just stuck the camera there. So, I know they're probably sober now.
Like the edge.
I know they're probably sober now, and fights always tend to occur when you've been drinking too much, but they seem the normal happy couple, don't they?
You can't help yourself, crabby. Oh, I did.
See how low that water is compared to what it normally is.
Turtle.
Seems ever so peaceful there, doesn't it, guys? Really shallow there. Yeah, so let's get on with the main story. I'm doing this one as extra because some people have not heard of this case yet, and some people may have heard this case. The good thing is I don't have to read anything else out. Right. I've also heard as well I looked up this afternoon any updates on it, and it looks like they're holding Brian for up to a total of 96 hours, which I think brings us to Monday, because they were hoping to have a better statement yesterday with what was happening. But I guess the police have still got more evidence to look into before they come to any conclusions. So let's play this anyway.
Has become a key part of this story. She has told media outlets that the hookers, who often shared their travels at sea on social media, allegedly had a history of domestic violence. And specifically, she has claimed that Brian allegedly had anger issues and had made allegedly serious threats against her mom, Lynette Hooker, in the past, including in one case, she said in an interview on Fox News 2 years ago, he allegedly claimed, she says, to have threatened Lynette Hooker, saying that he was going to choke her out and throw her overboard. This couple had been reportedly traveling at sea and living this life for roughly a decade. Now, we'll have more on the specific claims that Lynette's daughter has been making in just a moment. And I do want to point out that they are just allegations at this point. Here's more of our coverage about the search for answers into what happened to Lynette Hooker. This was recorded before this big breaking news story. This is a video that the Hookers posted to their YouTube channel just 4 weeks ago from the Bahamas. You can see they're paddleboarding down a waterway. The social media channels for this couple, and they're very active on social media producing content, is called the Sailing Hookers. And the couple would post videos of them going to some amazing places in the Caribbean. Their TikTok account says, "We sailed away from BS, a married couple living their best life." And it really appeared, looking at these videos, that that is what they were doing. This is their last TikTok post from 5 days ago of them enjoying the Bahamas. Now, this couple bought a boat in Texas 3 years ago, according to social media. Big sailboat, nice enough cabin where you can spend the night and do these long trips. And it seems like the Hookers are incredibly experienced on the water. This is part of the video where they announced that they had bought this boat, showing Brian climbing up the mast with a safety harness and Lynette spotting him. If you're going to sail a boat like this, and you're going to do what they did, sailing these long haul trips, and they reportedly did this for 10 years, you really have to be experienced, you have to be a team, and you have to look out for each other. And it appears that's who the Hookers were. Now, knowing just how much this couple seemed to care about safety, it does make what allegedly happened on Saturday night a little bit surprising. This is a picture that was part of the last TikTok video that the Hookers posted from the Bahamas, and it's the two of them riding on what appears to be a dinghy, a small boat. It's inflatable, has a hard bottom, an engine on the back, and it can really, as you see there, only fit the two of them. According to police, they were on an 8-foot dinghy Saturday night when Lynette fell overboard, according to Brian, and vanished. So it is possible this is the exact boat that they were on. Police say that Brian told them that he and Lynette were making their way on this dinghy from Hopetown in the Bahamas to Elbow Key. Local authorities have said that the couple went out around 7:30 at night. It was dark and the conditions were not ideal. Wind gusts were reportedly between 18 and 22 knots. And if you're not a boater, we're talking between 20 and 25 miles per hour. Now, Brian claims that Lynette fell off the dinghy and she had the keys, and the keys went with her. And as you look at this picture of the boat, again, you can see there's not a lot of space on it. And you can see if there was a big gust that it definitely would be possible for someone to lose balance and fall off. And it appears also that Lynette, she's sitting on the side of the dinghy in this picture. So that story, when you hear it, you might think that definitely makes sense, that it's possible that that is what happened. But Lynette's daughter is now pushing back on that potential scenario. And she's doing it in a big way that we're going to get into in just a moment. Lynette was not reported missing for hours because it took Brian hours until Sunday morning to make it to this marina in Marsh Harbor, Bahamas. Now, it's not clear exactly where Brian claims Lynette fell into the water, but when you look at this map, you can see that Marsh Harbor is on the other side of the bay from where the hookers said they were going. Now, once ashore, investigators say that Brian told someone what had happened, and that person called authorities, and the search has been going on air, sea, land ever since in trying to find Lynette. Now, in their own words, this couple said they were living their best life. The boat is called Soulmate, and they had been living this life at sea for a decade. It seems like everything was perfect, and I know that's cliche to say in a lot of true crime stories, but this is where things are allegedly getting a bit concerning because Lynette's daughter is going public and saying everything was not perfect for this couple. Lynette's daughter is named Carly.
I didn't realize you did see.
Is
Sorry, guys. I didn't realize when I came off StreamYard, it actually took it down so you could see me browsing my emails and bits and pieces like that. I do apologize. If I knew how far to go back, I would, but I just have to apologize because I can't start this all from the beginning of my thing. But I do apologize for you not having any images, but just hearing them talking.
it going to be enough to actually charge Brian with a crime, or when all the data is sifted through, do people determine that it was an accident?
And the stepdaughter, I mean, she has gone scorched earth in these interviews in terms of the allegations she's making. I mean, being very public and saying that allegedly this relationship was not as perfect as it looked on social media, that there was a history of domestic violence, in her words. She made allegations about them drinking, and just volatility in the relationship. How much does that factor in? And if you know the Bahamian authorities, how they go about it, because she said, at least in the Fox News interview that she did, that she called the Bahamian authorities and she couldn't really get through. And apparently she has a lawyer. How much can that actually factor into trying to figure out in that moment how Lynette Hooker goes overboard?
I think it plays considerable weight. I think her name was Carly, and Carly's clearly coming out and telling a very strong narrative about a very rocky relationship, about people that were big drinkers, that they had a volatile relationship. And those are definitely factors that any investigating authority would look into and give significant weight, just to really put together the pieces of the puzzle.
And it seems like, the other part of it too is she said that Brian sounded monotone and calm when he called her with the news. And like, on one hand, I don't know how I would respond, making that phone call if it was me. At the same time, this is someone who paddled a heck of a long way, apparently, back to shore, because he didn't have keys to the engine after she went overboard. And he releases this statement on Facebook. And Facebook's a real casual way to release a statement as opposed to going through like a law firm. But it read to me like a lawyer wrote this. I don't know what his background is, but he thanked every single, department that's a part of this, saying, my family appreciates it. It just came off to me as professionally written, not saying that that's a bad thing. But what stood out to you in the statement that he made?
I completely agree, Chris. Having read the statement, it was very short. It was very terse. It didn't really have a lot of emotion behind it. If you wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, he's in a state of shock and maybe someone wrote it on his behalf. But it did feel very generic, sort of what ChatGPT would tell you to write in that kind of a situation. And the fact that he was cold and monotone when telling the story, again, benefit of the doubt says, yeah, he's in a state of shock. But in my experience, and I deal with grieving families all the time, people who've been through terrible, terrible traumas. That's not the response that I generally see. The response that I generally see is tremendous grief, tremendous overwhelm, tremendous sadness, tremendous tears. And that not being there, does that raise red flags? Certainly. But again, to be clear, I do think Brian should be entitled to due process. I think we should get to the bottom of it. Of course, you and I are just giving our opinions. But yes, I do think there's a lot of red flags that show something problematic here.
What do you just think of? I just think of what it must have been like if his story is true. You think of this woman you called the love of your life going overboard, and you're trying to get to her and you can't because the current is pushing you away, and then you have to paddle ashore. It sounds terrifying and incredibly sad if that's what happened. Certainly it's sad either way. If you were his attorney, what type of advice does an attorney give him at this point? He's in a foreign country. It's not just a case where your wife went overboard anymore, because you have a stepdaughter who is making some very serious allegations that's turned the heat up on you as this investigation's ongoing. Like, what's typically the advice that you would give someone in his situation?
Well, that's a tricky question for me, Chris, because I'm on the civil side. So I'm usually prosecuting the case, pushing forward the case. So with criminal defense attorneys, their analysis is very different. They don't want them to get charged. Brian may have admitted to him that he did it, but then he can't necessarily divulge that. Having said that, let's assume it really was an accident and I was he was my client. I would want to put him on television to tell the story about what happened, because in today's world, narrative shifts so quickly. So if you're trying to not necessarily control the narrative, but if you're trying to get the truth out, get the truth out. sit down with you, talk to Chris and say, hey, look, this is what happened. This is why it happened. Yeah, I was in a state of shock at first, and this is the love of my life. I wish I had gone in after, but put it out there. So to me, when you doing that versus putting out these cold and sort of terse statements, again, more red flags.
It certainly is. And we did reach out to him, and
I figured you did.
He's welcome to come on, and we would love to hear his side of the story, even though we know it's an incredibly tough time with what he's alleging took place. Is he likely at this point, like with how the Bahamian authorities in some of these cases, and I know you're on the civil side, like, is he free to go? I mean, he hasn't been charged, but in terms of, the Bahamians, as the search is ongoing, if he wanted to head back to the United States, would he be free to do that?
So what I've seen in real time is that there have been no charges that have been filed. I know the Bahamian authorities would often say something like, look, we don't want you to leave the island. Practically speaking, legally speaking, could he leave the island? Yes. If they wanted to, could they prevent him from getting on a plane or a boat? Sure. But given the fact that he has not been charged, I do think he's free to leave the country. And
you wonder, I mean, if he does have a lawyer, someone advising him, like if he was to leave at this point, what type of message would that send, even if he is, completely innocent and this was a terrible, terrible accident? How are the Bahamians when it comes to these types of searches and some of these cases that play out? It's obviously a huge tourist destination, a lot of boaters, not just people like the Hookers, but I used to live in South Florida. It'd be very easy to just run a boat over, to like the west end of the Bahamas. How are the Bahamians when it comes to cases like this?
I think they're great. I mean, in my experience, and I've dealt with them dozens and dozens of times, they're very passionate people. They want to get to the bottom of situations. They're often working in concert with the FBI, and they're very good at their job, particularly with the Royal Bahamas Maritime Agency. I mean, they are terrific at investigating accidents. Sometimes people think maybe they're in bed with the cruise lines. Obviously, this is not a cruise ship case, but because the cruise industry puts so much time and effort and money into the region, but I can't say that to be the truth. So in my view, I think they're terrific. I think they're going to get to the bottom of it. There's a limited data set that's available to them, but let's see what they're able to come up with.
And when it comes to the U.S. State Department, the FBI, I know they put out, the State Department put out a statement saying that they're cooperating with authorities. Clearly, this is a Bahamian case. And to your point, they're really good at this and they have a lot of experience in a lot of these cases. But like, what does that assistance actually look like when the State Department or the FBI says that they're helping out?
Well, so, I mean, yes, it happened in the Bahamas, so it's a Bahamas case, but it happened to a U.S. citizen. Therefore, FBI has jurisdiction and can have as much or as little involvement as they want. Obviously, the FBI has a heck of a lot on their plate. So with Lynette going missing, that's not necessarily the top thing on their radar. So I think in the FBI's view, if there's adequate resources that are put to it, then they're going to really rely on that. Often in situations of missing persons, Coast Guard gets involved immediately. They'll set up a grid area. They'll conduct an entire search and investigation, or as here they call a recovery mission. I don't know the extent of the Coast Guard's efforts, but they are unbelievably good at locating bodies. So I hope to a certain extent they've been involved in the rescue operations.
Yeah, and you think of that at this point too, in a lot of these cases, it just bodies are not found, and, we did have that case out of Barcelona recently with a U.S. college student who ended up passing away, and his body did come up ashore, I think back to Sudisha Kananki, who is the American college student in the Dominican Republic, and her body did not come back to shore after, something that happened during spring break. In these cases, what makes it so difficult when you look at the waterway and the area around where Brian is alleging all of this took place? Just why is it so challenging for a recovery to actually happen?
Well, it's finding a needle in a haystack. I mean, you've got winds, you've got ocean currents, you've got whether or not the body took on water and sunk immediately. So you've got a million variables, but the biggest part of it is there's just such a huge geographic area, and every minute that goes by expands that area. So as great as the Coast Guard is, they are fighting an unbelievably uphill battle to try to find that needle in a haystack.
This might put you on the spot as well, but for Carly, the stepdaughter, and I know she said that she had an attorney in that Fox News interview, like what role would an attorney be playing for her at this point? Clearly, this is her biological mom, also her stepdad, who's been in her life for a long time. And I know it doesn't seem like they have the best of relationship, but what is the role of an attorney for someone like her in a situation like this as this search is going on?
Well, I think if she did hire counsel, the counsel would be able to try to get involved in the investigation as much as possible, really not doing that much that would be different than what Carly can do, but picking up the phone, calling the authorities. theoretically, if she wanted to file a case, a civil case, she could then have subpoena power to be able to get more information. She could do a deposition of him to try to get more questions. So there's a lot that an attorney could do. It's probably a little bit early for that. But yeah, a civil attorney could do a lot to further the investigation. Not necessarily in the short term, but more in the long term. As an example, if it's 6 months from now and there's still more questions unanswered, she could certainly file suit. She could certainly have an attorney sit down and take his own deposition, which is basically a question and answer session, to try to get more information, as well as getting any kind of records, seeing was there any kind of life insurance policy that he had taken out on the wife? Was there any type of life insurance payment that was made? So definitely a civil attorney could dig a little bit deeper into the investigation.
Yeah, and that's a good point on the financials. We don't really know. I mean, they're retired at this point. They certainly do a lot of traveling and own this sailboat. How long does a search like this go for? I know we're at the recovery point. Saturday night is when this allegedly took place, and now we're talking on Wednesday.
I would be surprised if it was still underway. In my experience, you've got a good 24 to 48 hour window. I've definitely seen it go up to more like 72 hours. But now when we're this far out, I'm sure it's winding down.
Yeah, and a lot of questions still at this point. Michael Winkleman, maritime attorney. Always great to have your expertise here on Law and Crime. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Chris. Nice to see you.
That will do it for On the Case.
Right, so thank you guys for watching that. I do apologise again for the blank bit. For some reason, when I came off StreamYard to watch the Law and Crime so that I could stop it and talk in between if I needed to, didn't realise it actually stopped showing to you as well. You could hear the case, but you just couldn't see them. But I want to see if I can share the text messages, and then this is my last bit for it. So share this tab instead. Yes, it worked. I'm so pleased with myself. Right. That's the first time I've done it that way. Right, let's find these text messages. So Brian Hooker on Monday, I just checked you can still see it. His mate, Brian Hooker must have seen, did we just see you on the news? ABC World News said Lynette fell off boat. I can take these headphones off now. Bear with. Then Brian goes, yes, brother, I'm afraid so. Off the dinghy in some choppy seas on the way back to the sailboat. The wind blew me away from her and she swam towards the sailboat. And we quickly lost sight of each other pretty quickly as it was just about sundown. Now, we'd heard it was total dark and that. So, that's a discrepancy there. I drifted and tried to paddle with one oar for the next 7 hours until I was washed up behind the shore, next island over, and was able to get some help finally. We are still searching. A lot is going on right now, but I thank you for checking on us. Being on the news is a huge burden, and I've just had my first news organization call me for a few minutes ago. His friend says, in our prayers. And he goes, thank you, friend. Our family is in hell right now. Search and rescue just called and said they searched a bunch of areas today. No joy. They are going out tomorrow, but a storm is coming in on Wednesday. Then he goes, but a storm coming in Wednesday. Then it goes, keep us informed. And if we can do anything, let us know ASAP. I know the pressure is on you hard. I'm praying hard. And if you need to talk or anything, let me know. Do you have a place to stay on an island or are you staying on the boat? Any way I can help, please ask. And he goes, good morning, Daniel. Thank you for reaching out and supporting us. I got the boat back to Marsh Harbour yesterday after the fire department brought me back my dinghy. I'm on the morning ball at a place called thing. And then, where was it? Place called, where is it? Boat back to Marsh Harbour yesterday after the fire department brought back my dinghy. I'm on the morning ball at a place called Conch in staying on the boat. My sister and brother-in-law are flying in later this morning to stay for a couple of days, and I will probably stay with them for a night or two while weather happens. But then I have to plan on heading back out to the site and continuing the search. I will most likely definitely need help in the future, but I just don't know what it is yet. I'm trying to take a day at a time and keep faith. Search and rescue is out again today before some big winds come in tomorrow. And then we are currently here to help. We can. Currently in Shreveport, our boat is on the north shore of the lake of Pont. I can't pronounce that. We was actually going to buy a sailboat this week and bring both boats home to Shreveport. If you need anything, where I can. Then he goes, congratulations on your sailboat, Captain, and thank you for your kind offers. We'll be in touch after the events. Was that the... Yeah, so that's to his daughter, Rosie. She goes, whatever it takes to help either one of you, even though she doesn't really know either one of you. I wish I could be there with you, but I have to be here right now. I love you both. Then goes, I love you, Dad. Rose goes, I love you too. Carly just took a melatonin in an attempt to get some sleep. Me, Aunt Jen, and Uncle Brett are going out on the boat tomorrow to continue searching. And I'll try and contact you if I can, but I may not be back before you go to work. So shoot me a call or text when you get a break for updates, etc. I'm not giving up, and I don't want to give up either, ladies. Then it goes, good morning, girls. I miss you today. Me, Jen, and Uncle Brett are going out. I've just read that one. Oh, no. Going out on the boats to look for Lynette. We were hassled at dinner by reporters last night and followed down the road and decided to post a statement on my Facebook page. And also on Lynette's. Our family has lots of support from people all over the world, but there are, of course, always some haters, and I urge you to keep focus on what's important. Lynette and our family, they are saying ridiculous stuff, so I will do some pushback on that when I can, but I have locked down my Facebook page except for the statement. You can still reach me through Messenger, all the other ways that you always can reach me. I love you, and I'm not giving up or stopping. So that is that. So hopefully I brought you some little bits of different stuff that other news stations haven't. So if you can please like, share, and subscribe, I really appreciate that. This is my last one now. This one's been like an hour and 20 minutes, which I only thought it was going to be an hour. But I appreciate you all staying with me. If you are watching me on replay, thank you. Till the next time, bye.